Hey Kings of Dragons drawing King 551, and today we're going to do a different type of video. This is going to be my thoughts on the originals, talking about some characters. Now, in the past, I have done a video talking about Haley Marshall's actions, and actions have consequences, and characters have done terrible things. Um, but this is where I address it and talking about where I think that it would have been more interesting if the story was changed a little bit. And we're going to talk about a couple of things that happened in the story. So there are multiple parts here that I'm going to break it down. So in my part one, I said I don't really hate Haley Marshall. However, I do judge her for actions. The first thing that always ticked me off, though, was that yes, I get that she was desperate to find family. I think anyone would want to find their family, but at the same time, she indirectly got Jeremy Gilbert killed by giving Catherine what she wanted to get the cure. That's one thing I don't really like about her. It's a love and hate relationship with me. The second thing is that she married Jackson, sorry, I said that wrong, which I felt was stupid. I think that Pleck didn't know which way she wanted to write this character, and she just kind of made her more unlikable in the originals, where she became arrogant after becoming a hybrid and everything. And yeah, she basically became like a Klaus 2.0, where you're gonna have to do better than that to kill a hybrid. It was so stupid because she's not an original hybrid, so she can't be killed. Like, she can be killed easily. Hope and Klaus can't unless it's red oak or white oak. Uh, Part two, there are so many reasons why I felt that Klaus's story would have been slightly better if it wasn't just for the fact that it was about redemption and family and everything. But how could he truly have redemption when Elijah was the one that who did terrible things to him? Firstly, we have to look at the fact that he helped bind Klaus and take away one part of himself. Then secondly, he compelled Aurora to destroy him, basically making it impossible and incapable of him loving someone. So really, it's his fault that he couldn't be somewhat kind and caring because Elijah basically destroyed him in the end. And now we'll go into part three. Here's the thing. Now, well, I do think that Clearly should have been given a chance. I do think that I also wish that Klaus and Caroline had also been given a chance. But I do think that this is where, in my mind and in my heart, that I like these two ships the most. Now, in another video, I did talk about how I wish that the hookup in the woods led to Caroline getting pregnant. I don't really like how Rick and Josette Laughlin and their kids of Josie and Lizzie got put into Caroline. I never liked that plot. I think it would have been better if it was Klaus's kids or Stefan's kids. And I understand that it was, Candace King who um, basically the story got rewritten because she got pregnant in real life and stuff, and the actress got pregnant. But yeah, moving right along. But when I look at it, I really wish that Pleck had done something along the lines of where it just wasn't a one night stand creating hope. Like I wish that it had been someone that he actually loved, or they gave him a legitimate soulmate or something along the lines of that. Where it would have been cool if he gets married and has a stronger redemption story. I'm not saying that he didn't love Haley, but it wasn't romantically, it was more platonically. So it was more of a, a partner relationship where they didn't, they weren't together, but they still co-parented. So that's where it's just like that. Now, part four, this is where it gets really interesting. Here's a couple of things. Davina and Marcel are definitely crazy to marry into the Michelson family. Now, here's another thing. The whole Davina is Hope's aunt and bullshit of that, and because Marcel is the adoptive brother and adoptive son to Klaus and all that. I don't like that mumbo jumbo. I just call it Marcel and Rebecca. Marcel is Hope's uncle. Davina is Hope's aunt. Um, but the whole flashback stuff is what really got me. So I always found it weird. Like now, while I do love Davina, I always found it weird that she kind of ran up on Klaus and the rest of the family for no apparent reason. Like, I get that she hated them because Marcel told her to hate them, but it's just like a little weird. Now, but I get why it happens. Now, as I said before, I don't hate these two relationships of Cole and Davina and Rebecca and Marcel. Now, this is where it gets really interesting for me because, as I said before, if Klaus had chosen someone else or got someone else pregnant, I didn't have a problem with Haley being in the story and being in love with Elijah and them being together. See, the way I see it is that if you wanted to write a story like this, you basically have it be that Haley has a long lost sister who was adopted into one of the founding families of Mystic Falls. Then Klaus finds her, falls in love with her, and basically Haley and that person go to New Orleans to find their full family or something along the lines of that. You could also change it to say that Caroline was secretly a werewolf all this time, like in the original books of Vampire Diaries and stuff. And basically, she's a long lost sister of Haley, which would be more interesting in a way, seeing as Haley broke Caroline's neck. But yeah, basically, I have no problem with Haley and Elijah if Klaus decided to get someone else pregnant or someone else got pregnant with Klaus's child. See, the thing here is that I find it really disgusting of that sloppy seconds, and I am going to curse here. So I find it weird that Elijah is literally fucking the pussy where his niece came out of, and that's really disgusting and disturbing. I don't understand that. Um, Whatever you want to call it. Now, part five. Now, when you look at each love interest, I think that each person did help him on his way to redemption, including Marcel. Yes, Marcel did become more hated later when they were adults, but he did help him and he did admit that he was wrong, Klaus. So, first off, you have Aurora, who cherished the likable boy and didn't fear the beast. Then you have Caroline, who taught him that it's okay to be somewhat kind and showing that his way is not always the best. Then you have Haley, who fully told him being kind isn't weak and that he can truly change for the better for his child and himself. You have Cammy, who is a psychologist who helped him through his breaks and everything. So I really don't have a problem with that. Finally, you have Hope, his littlest wolf, the one that changed him the most. And I do think that sometimes a kid does change him, but I do think that Elijah put too much pressure on Hope to be like the hope for the family to change them and stuff. And, I think that that was a big, big, big mistake. Well, there you have it. Those are my thoughts on the originals, and I'll continue to read stories on like fan fiction and stuff, um, and everything else. And there's this character on fan fiction, Nature Lover 1997, and this writer does really well with Klaus and Haley stories. If you're a big Klaus and Haley fan, um, but as I said before, but I really wish that they had gone a different direction. Maybe Klaus and Haley. Have a chance or or they had chosen someone else for Klaus to fall in love with, get a redemption story. Definitely not Cammy because I don't. Here's the thing, I don't hate Cammy, and I'm gonna talk about this in another video, but the thing here is with Cammy, I don't know. She just annoyed the fuck out of me and stuff. And as I said before, what happens when a human inserts themselves into supernatural drama or something? Eventually they die. Look at Elena. She became human, then became a vampire and stuff, and then became a human again, but she basically died. Same with Cammy. Um, so, but I wouldn't have mind if it was Aurora or Caroline, possibly someone else. It would have been a better story if he actually had a wife as well. So that's my basic thoughts of it. That I wish that he had a wife. I think that the story would have been better in a way. Um, I do think Aurora was crazy, but I think that was basically her mind and stuff. Everyone had some mental health problems when they became human to vampire and stuff, or when they were human to vampire. And I think that when you look at that psychological break, it's because everyone's emotions are more amplified forever for whatever person you are. For my human traits, or what my friends call me and my family describes me as, is a that I have a very big heart and I'm a kind, caring, loving person. Now, if I was to turn into a vampire, those are the traits that would amplify me to the best of that, and that would be those traits that amplify me. For Caroline, she liked being in control and stuff, and she became more of a controlling person. Rebecca became someone where she was kind-hearted but more lovey-dovey and fell in love with people left and right. And that's where it's just kind of like Aurora, she became like bipolar. Now, obviously, I don't think Lizzie and her necessarily are bipolar. There's another one, it's called BPD disorder, and it's very similar to bipolar. So I think that they misdiagnosed Lizzie and Aurora. But anyway, the point here is that I think that the story of the originals would have been better with some of these points. I do think that Davina and Marcel being enemies was just kind of stupid. I think they ran out of ideas into season three. I wouldn't have mind if Marcel had took the serum, like if Lucian had bit him and Vincent had pulled the serum and then Klaus told him to take it to save him. I wouldn't have mind that. but it is what it is, and those are my thoughts. And yeah, so let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. But that's all I have for you. So until next time, guys, don't forget to stay radical. I'll see you in the next one. Hit that like button and smash that subscribe button. And I will have other videos talking about what the Vampire Diaries is about, what the Originals is about, what Legacies is about. Those videos are obviously Legacies is friendship, the Originals is family, and the Vampire Diaries is romance. But the point here is, I will give thoughts on certain stories and my takes on it. But that's all I have for you guys. I'll see you in the next one.